Hey guys, it's Bao with Johnny Tech Review, and I hope you guys are all doing well. As you know, in my home I have a lot of smart devices, and one of them is a smart lock for the front of my house. I used a Yale smart lock for that, and that has HomeKit and other things like Alexa. However, recently a company reached out to me and asked me to try one of the smart lock. Obviously I was not gonna go ahead and change my front lock, but in my rear door I also have another lock door that I could change the lock out, and I'm using this one here. So the company called Hornbill, they sent me this device here, and this is a pretty nice smart lock. In the front they have 2 or 3 different colors. The one I picked was a stainless steel kind of nickel color that kind of matched the rest of my door hardware. In the front you can see you have a screen, and the screen has a touch sensitive screen that you can change enter the keypad and numbers. This company actually make a few different versions, including Bluetooth and fingerprint. This is the one that they currently have approval to sell on the US market, so it's on Amazon, and I'll leave the link in the description if you guys want to take a look at it. So up front here you have the highlight of a few features they have. They talk about key-free app control, you got theft alert, you got auto lock, you have battery backup, and then you have a touchscreen keypad. So, you know, this is an example of what it could look like. Of course, I don't have a bottom lock that looks this cool. I'll show you mine, but you know, up top it could look like that. So this is the blood version. I'm using the silver version myself, and in the back you have a few more information like this, you can see. And inside you have the lock itself. It's pretty simple to set up. There's a small user menu that you just follow the step, and what's nice about this is also there's a video. If you go to the Amazon page, there's a link to the video, and you can also check on the YouTube. It's about a 2-minute video. You have to just pause it as you watch through it, but it took me roughly about, I would say, 10-15 minutes to install this lock. They do include a drill bit and a template for you to drill out. You do need to drill out a hole kind of on top of this thing to kind of keep it level. So because this is a smart lock, it does support for Google Home and Alexa. I have one right here. Shh. But anyway, you can set that up. In my home I use a lot of HomeKit device and a combination with Alexa, so therefore I kind of use HomeBridge as one of the automation solution to kind of convert some of that device over. Unfortunately, even though this lock has another generic brand, I think it's called TT Lock, and that's the app that they use. It's called TD Lock actually. I was unable to do that because of the outdated, I think this has a new authentication process. So currently I cannot do that with HomeKit, just to keep that in mind in case you're wondering about that and thinking about hacking it. But yeah, it does come with a bunch of key that you can also kind of uncover this pad, which is actually covered at the beginning like this. So it's really, you know, you have to kind of uncover that to use the key, but if you want to use the key, there's a key set. And of course they come with like 5-6 keys, and they look like car keys. I didn't use them, my kid was messing with it, but for me it was about, you know, using the smart lock and the keypad, so I don't use the key at all, but there's a backup key if you want to do that. The installation process was not that complicated. You do have to drill a hole on top of your deadbolt. This lock here will replace your deadbolt. So if your door has a deadbolt and a regular lock, you might want to just replace that regular lock with something that, you know, don't have a lock on it. But you can do both if you want to. It's just inconvenient if you accidentally lock the bottom one, and, you know, unlocking the deadbolt will not help that. Right here. Installation process was relatively simple, as I mentioned. There is one setting in there that you do have to change the lock. It depends on you open from the left or the right. You want to change that setting here, and that kind of, you know, I think that has to do with the ton of the dowel. You definitely need a power drill to use the drill bit to drill a hole through it. My door was basically metal on both sides, and in the middle it was wood, so it, you know, it took a little bit of time to drill through. So in the installation process I did make one mistake, and it's kind of an OCD thing, but I did not drill the hole perfectly where I want it, so therefore the lock is slightly tilted. I mean, you kind of have to look at it for a while to see that, but for me, I know it's there, and every time I walk by it, it's annoying. I didn't want to re-drill a second hole right next to it, but you know, keep that in mind. So if you want it perfectly straight and you're kind of OCD, make sure you get that hole perfectly and, you know, measure it 2 or 3 times. Make sure it's good before you start drilling that hole. Other than that, after you install it, there's a bridge. You don't need a bridge to actually use the lock. The lock is normally you can use with a keypad, and it actually connects via Bluetooth. So there's an app called TT Lock that you can use to connect and set up a lot of this thing, and I'll go to that in a second to show you guys. But if you want to have smart home control with like Google Home or Alexa, you do need to connect the hub. The hub is included. It's pretty simple. It's set up the same way, and when you pair the hub to your Wi-Fi, you can then pair the lock to that. So in my experience, at first I tried with the Bluetooth, and that was very effective. It works really well, and you can unlock very fast with the app. When I go to the bridge, sometimes it depends on, I guess, Wi-Fi situation. I put that bridge right underneath the stairway, which my Wi-Fi router is nowhere near there. It was above on the second ceiling on the roof. So I'm a little bit further away from Wi-Fi. So sometimes it might take up to like 10 seconds to unlock after I click the unlock button, which is kind of unacceptable in many ways. My Yale lock didn't have that problem. The moment I hit unlock, it's immediately unlocked. That's a HomeKit setup. But that lock, I would say, also positioned in a good spot versus the Wi-Fi access point that I have. So yeah, something to keep in mind. If you can put that bridge closer to your Wi-Fi access point. I just like to happen to put all mine in the tech closet underneath the stairway, so that's not where my access point is. It's a little bit further away from that. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the app and show you guys through the app what's going on there and what kind of option and what kind of features you can do from the app. So the app is called TT Lock. You do have to sign up for an account at first, but when you log in, you can see that here all the options up front, and you can press once to unlock like this, and it will take a second. It will spin for a second there, and it will unlock. And then you can hold down to lock. It's a much longer lock. And as you can see right now, it's taking a little bit longer, 6, 7 seconds, 8, 9, 10 seconds. I tried a second ago, it took like 10 seconds in timeout because I guess I'm not having a good reception right now, so that's something I noticed that is a problem with this. If you hold down a button, it will also lock. Here down at the bottom, you can send electronic key to other people, so they do need to have an account. They could just create a free account, but they do need an account in the app in order to use it, and you can set that passcode and that key for a very limited time or as long as you want. So under generated key code here, you have a lot of different options. You can permanent, one time passcode, erase, and you can have a lot of different options here. So I'm going to use an example right here. I created one before and I just did like a one-time thing. I name it, you know, test as an example here, and hit generated, and that generate a long digit code. Now if you want something a little bit shorter, I'm going to hit and complete here. If you want something a little bit shorter, you can make it permanent or temporary. But here with temporary, you can actually set the date, which is really nice. And then here you can enter the name for that temp code. So I'm just gonna call it tempo as an example. And then you can enter any digits. So for me, 1111. Press OK. Set passcode. So here I'm gonna go ahead and set it for another day because the date was wrong. So therefore I'm gonna start today, and I'm gonna have it go all the way to the 5th. Press OK. And then hit set passcode, and now I have another passcode that I can use. So all this information, I believe, is pushed to the lock via the bridge, because you know, you need a bridge to do remote unlock and that kind of thing. But if on the combination, you can actually use the keypad and it works. So I'm pretty sure this information is stored to the lock itself. And I don't know how many they allow, but it seems like it's just a really long list, and you can click on it. So under passcode, you do have a bunch of options here. There was one that was invalid a second ago. But here are some of the other lock that I set up. I have one for my name here, and then a few other lock that I set up. I guess this one is invalid now. But anyway, under the record, you can kind of see the lock and unlock attempt. And you can see here a lot of lock and unlock attempt, and which is really nice to see. And of course, you set up different user, you can kind of see when they lock in and out. Another thing to take a look at is setting. Here are some of the settings. You have a lot of them actually, and I'll just quickly glance through it for you guys. Under basic, you have some information about the lock, the type of lock. You can add just in a group. You know, gateway, here's a gateway I had it set up. That's the gateway. You can see the reception is weak. That is why I don't have good you know, connection with the lock. I'm probably gonna move this gateway a lot closer to my access point, so that will resolve this problem. Keyless pad, here you can see you can add a keypad, which I guess is another wireless keypad you can buy. I don't know anything about that, it's just an option in here. Remote unlock is set to on. That means you can do that via the app. So if you don't have this option on, you will not be able to use smart home to do that. It default will have this off, and in the instruction it will tell you if you want to use those other smart home devices like Alexa and Google, you do need to enable this in order to use that. Of course, here you have passive mode, which means here it will leave the lock open for a period of time, and then you have to manually lock it if you want to do that. And then of course you have all these different options like tamper alert, where if you type in the password wrong, accelerate, it will beep, that kind of thing. And then door open direction, this is, you can see, open from the right, from the left, and that will give you, in case you have a problem with your lock not operating correctly, you can go ahead and select one of these options here. So also on the lock itself, there's also a little latch that you can select. So you can do that first permanently, but here in the software it looks like you can also change it. I haven't touched with that at all. So under lock clock, you can also calibrate and set the correct set. The lock itself has a clock, and it actually save and sync with your device. So right now it's syncing my time. Keep in mind that this lock actually used 4 AA battery. I mentioned that earlier, but the battery are supposed to last somewhere between 6 months to 2 years according to them, and you want to use alkaline battery because the way alkaline battery works is slowly depleting versus something like rechargeable lithium where it could just quickly die and you might have lockout. So a lot of lock company will recommend you to use alkaline battery. Buy some Duracell or something like that, put in there. So my front lock for the Yale, for example, I have that running, and I don't replace the lock except like maybe once, a little bit over a year I change it. So it works pretty well, and that's daily usage. So far the real one is being installed for about 3 weeks now, and battery's still at 100%. We use it on the daily, so something to keep in mind though. I went in there the first time, there was a firmware. I will go ahead and update that, but since then I don't have any new firmware. You can see here, but you can also check for updates. The firmware didn't really tell me much other than that it's fixed some bugs, but it didn't really tell me any new features, anything like that. And here are some information like unlock notifications. So if you unlock it, it will pop up on the screen. Me and my wife both have the app, and when we unlock the door, whether it's manually or automatically, you will see the information pop up on the screen, which is really nice. So also, if you click on the menu up top here, the hamburger menu, you will see that there are some other options here like setting and work with. And under work with, this lock actually work with a bunch of other apps like chat, and also there's like hotel app, which again I don't have to use, but here you can see the 2 smart home system that are available to you. Of course, again, earlier as I mentioned, I tried to use HomeBridge and a plugin there, but that plugin worked for a generic device from a company called TD Lock, and this is supposed to be a very similar lock, but for some reason it didn't work, because I think when I look online, they say the authentication for this lock is a little bit new, it's different. So hopefully in the future someone will be able to upgrade a plugin for that, and then I will be able to use it in HomeKit also. So currently that is the one downside of this lock, that if you're looking for a HomeKit lock, this is not the lock for you. So overall, what do I think? Well, I think the lock itself is a really nice lock. The lock itself feels very hefty and very well built. It's all metal. On the outside it's a piece of glass, and when you touch it, it will kind of come on, and then you can start typing in a code. It feels really nice in the hand. Right now it's really cold around this area where I live. It's about 20-30 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty cold, and the lock works perfectly fine with the touchscreen. Haven't had any problem with it yet. Like I say again, I think your biggest challenge would be if you are far away from your access point or your Wi-Fi. You might have some problem like me. I know when I first set it up and I put it a lot closer to my access point, I didn't have that problem. And if you're only using the Bluetooth mode, which does not use the gateway, which means you can't use the smart home stuff, you won't have that problem, because the Bluetooth seems to work really well also. So yeah, keep that in mind. But so far installation was seamless, easy, good video to install. I don't really have any issues with it, and currently I think it's about $100 or so on Amazon. A pretty good price. Definitely this lock will have some competition with stuff like Yale. Yale's a little bit more expensive with some other features, but it just depends on what you're looking for and the design. I think again, if you have something like this, it looks pretty amazing. The Yale lock wouldn't look as good as this. That is my experience for using this lock for about 3 weeks or so. If you guys have any question, please just ask me in the comment box down below. Again, thank you for Hornbill for sending this out for me to check it out. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumb up. Consider subscribing for more future content. Thank you.